Beverley Dinham Spencer, welcome to Profile.
Thank you.
We are absolutely delighted to have you on the program, especially given the sort of list of accomplishments that you have. And in the context of the fact that we're doing a series on women in business, and you are one of those giants who has done so many different kinds of things. So it's a business and management consultant, primarily. I put in some of these titles as well: philanthropist, teacher and trainer, and actress as well, qualified in many, many kinds of different fields. You even have degrees in theology, as a matter of fact. When you look at that kind of journey that has led you into these all sorts of different kinds of areas, how do you feel?
I feel like I've accomplished a number of things in my life. I feel like this is a kind of life that I wanted for myself, to be a diverse kind of person, and to show people that your life is not one dimension. It can be several dimensions, and you can enjoy all of them and do them as well as you can.
But it's a lot of different kinds of areas,
yes.
But they all fit together, business and management
yes.
consulting overall.
They fit together perfectly.
What is, why are you so passionate about that?
I started off doing mass communications.
Yes.
And the training in that was so deep. I did that in Canada. And it was so good. I think it became the foundation for everything else, because you had to master communications. And communications is the benchmark for everything else that I've done. So it helped with my management consulting profession. It helped with my training, which evolved out of my consulting. And it has helped with even the evolving into the Allied Health School, which I now operate. And where does theology come into it?
Yes.
That, I've always had a passion for religion. I think maybe in another life, I would have been a minister. But, and I love reading, I love research, and so that helped to shape the ethics, the values that I put into everything else. So from theology, I got the values. From mass communication, I got the ability to communicate. And then the business aspect of it was my second degree, Masters of Science in Industrial Management. And that, of course, went back to the fact that my dad had his own business, and I learned entrepreneurship from him.
I love to talk about the link between what people do now and how that links to their past.
Yes.
So let's talk about growing up and seeing your father as a business owner. And obviously, a lot of successes there, but also a lot of challenges as well.
Yes.
What kind of example did he set for you?
My father ran a shoe manufacturing business in the 50s. It was the first probably major shoe manufacturing business where he brought in the equipment to mass produce shoes. So he was doing something in 1952, 53, which had never been done.
Yes.
And what I got from my dad was quality. He was intense about his quality. The shoes he made had to be perfect. I got the discipline. He made sure he met his deadlines. If he had a deadline, he had a shipment to make, it had to go out on time, it had to be delivered on time, and the quality had to be good. So those are some things I got from him, as well as showing up every single day, no matter what the challenges are. So those are values which, when you are 5 years old and you're in the business with your dad, you're seeing him do these things, you grow up with those kinds of values.
Was he only doing them, or was he also saying them to you? Was he also explaining what he was doing? Or were you learning simply by the example?
I learned from sitting in his factory and listening to him and watching him. Because as a child, my mom died when I was 3. And so I ended up being taken care of by his employees in the factory.
Yes.
Because he was a young man, 24, 25 years old, and so I would get to go to work. Now, I thought it was fun, but I was being taken care of by his employees who would, see to it that I had a meal and so on. And I just learned what it was to run a business. So I grew up in an entrepreneurial atmosphere. And for me, it was the norm. When I grew up, I realized that not many people have that kind of exposure. But I grew up with that.
What then in that sort of context moved you, because you had this example from your father, you're growing up in a factory with employees, having a fun time as a child, but then going on at the college level to do mass communications. What explains that?
That explains it because I didn't want to go to the US. My parents migrated when I was 16. And of course, that was a period of being a rebel. So I decided I didn't want to go to the US because I was going to be restricted. I wanted to go to Canada because then I thought I had a lot of freedom. So my cousin who lived in Canada, she lived in Hamilton. I asked her if I could come to Hamilton and go to school. And she said, sure, but she was 25. I was like 18 and, so I went to Canada. Turned up at Mohawk College on the first day in September, and I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. But I saw this mass communications diploma course, and I said, that looks interesting. So I signed up for it. Didn't know what I was doing. And the rest is history. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was the only black student, female at the time, with about 2,500 students, and I had a ball.
Did you understand yourself to be different? Because you're reflecting on it now,
yes.
But did you understand at the time yourself to be different, to be black?
When I went to Canada, I didn't know I was black. I didn't know, meaning, yes, I know I have my skin color, but nobody had ever referred to me as the black girl. And so that was quite a shock. I also didn't realize that Canada was very different from Jamaica. We go with this idea that the entire world is like Jamaica. Well, okay, it's not. You wear dark clothes in the winter. It's cold. You don't wear bright yellow down the corridor in the middle of winter, which I did, and everybody thought, bright yellow. And I said, I'm from the Caribbean. I'm sorry, I just can't stand these black and, And so I learned that I was different, but I also learned that difference could be a benefit because I was helping other people to understand what people from other parts of the world were like.
I want to go back to that point, but we have to take our first break on profile. My guest today is management and business consultant. I'm calling her a philanthropist and also a former actress. Many sort of different accomplishments. Beverley Dinham Spencer Profile is back after these messages.